talk about a new camera, one that I am pretty excited about. And coming from a company that I would never have guessed to be excited about this year, but it is the Pentax KP. If you haven't seen this camera, you read the specs and you're like, is it April Fool's Day already? This can't be real. It's a pretty impressive spec list, no question about it. It has 24 megapixel APS-C, so crop sensor. So it's decent. You know, it's a little bit low on megapixels. I still like seeing 30 and up as where I feel most happiest, just for the ability to crop is really nice, like on the D810 to be able to crop as much as you can. But it's fine at 24 megapixels. You can certainly print as big as you want. So it has no AA filter, but the showstopper here is the ISO sensitivity goes up to 819,200. Whoa, that's impressive. ISO 819,200. Wow, that is far better than even Sony's low light monsters. And the low light images that have been posted so far seem to back it up. It's not. I mean, certainly you're not going to get a usable image at 819,000 ISO. I usually say whatever the company says it can do, back it down by like 3 to 4 stops, and then we're talking reasonable. But the low light images I've seen so far are really, really, really impressive. And of course, it has the pixel shift technology. So it's 24 megapixels, but if you're on a tripod, it can shift the pixels and increase the resolution dramatically. The reviews I've seen of that feature so far are really impressive. Obviously, isn't going to help portrait photographers so much, but for landscape photography, really, really nice. It has 5-axis shake reduction system coming down from their full frame. 100% field of view optical viewfinder, 1/6000 mechanical shutter, which is pretty good, and then 24,000 electronic shutter, which I give that a big meh. I have that on my Fuji X Pro 2, and I never use the electronic shutter. I guess it'd be handy if you're shooting in a really quiet area or something. Built-in Wi-Fi, tiltable LCD, which is great, even though I don't know why they don't always put in the swivel. And you can exchange the grip on it. You can physically take off the grip and exchange it with other grips they have on there. So that's pretty cool. It's one heck of a camera, weather resistant. And the cool thing is it's $1,099. That's a amazing price for the spec list that we're seeing here. So what do you guys think? Is this something that could be finding your way into your camera bag this year?
It probably won't find its way into my camera bag, but I sure wish it could, because another thing I like about this camera is when you attach their GPS unit to it, it will sense where you're at on Earth. And if you're doing astro work, you can do a long exposure, but still get the pinpoints of light, because it will move that sensor along the axis it needs to move it in order to keep those stars in sharp focus.
Say what? I didn't know it did that.
Love that. Yes.
That's amazing.
I just love that. So if you're looking for, a 30-second or more exposure of the Milky Way, you could do it, and it would just be phenomenal for astrophotography.
Is this new, or have other Pentax cameras done this?
I think it was their full frame also does this.
What planet was I on? I've never heard of that. That's so cool.
Don't talk about it enough, but it was just in the article I was just reading before the show, and I was just like, yes, I'm glad they put it in there, but people just don't talk about it. It would be phenomenally awesome to have that. I know some people, they buy, say, the Rokinon or Samyang 14 f2.8. I was just talking on the other podcast with Jeff Harmer about that, and he was like,
Jeff Harmon, sorry.
He was like, yeah, I have that just for my astro work. And well, here you might just have a single camera just for your astro work, but obviously it does so much more as well. But that would be a reason, if you're into that kind of work, consider this camera. It would be really, really sweet. It's well priced, and with a pixel sense shifting technology, and then you've got the ability to follow it just amazing. Really good stuff here from Pentax.
That sounds like I would eat that up instead of having to stack 10 different images to get rid of the noise and everything else. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
And now, the thing about their tilt, I'm trying to find out if they have the exact same model as they do on the K1. But as far as their screen, you're talking about the articulating screen, they have a different connector that's very strong. And when I was at the Photokina, they were showing the people were just dangling the camera by the screen and just effectively shaking it, and just showing off how strong that screen connector is. And so they're probably using the same thing, which is just very robust. So that's probably why it's not a full articulating screen on that, but it's still a pretty good screen.
Very cool. Well, there are some drawbacks to the camera, like there always are. Drawback number one is it's probably a Sony sensor. We never know really until we take her down, but at this point, it's probably a Sony sensor. And if that's true, I guess I don't know how much of a drawback it is, but just the fact that when a Sony sensor is out, it's coming to other camera manufacturers as well. And so, yeah, I guess the point is maybe don't jump ship just yet if you're on a different system, because we very well could see the same sensor in other cameras as well. The other thing is only 390 shots per battery. That's pretty low battery life, so you'll have to buy several extra batteries. And also, it doesn't really do 4K video. The advertising is 4K interval video. Very clever. But it doesn't really do 4K. It's really just 1920 by 1080. And so there are drawbacks if you're a video guy, if you need longer battery life. But it's a very impressive thing. It also has magnesium alloy construction, so it should be strong. Lots to like about it. It's a camera that I absolutely would like to play with this year. I don't know what the lens system is like for Pentax's crop sensor. I know Pentax's full frame has some really nice lenses. I just don't know anything about their crop sensor line of lenses, and to me that's like the number one thing I'm interested in when I'm looking at a camera. The lens system means more to me than the body of the camera does. So I need to do some exploration there and just kind of see what's available and in terms of their lens system.
Do you know how that that fast shutter the electronic shutter would work with bright light and with strobes? So I could see that being pretty cool for shooting midday light when you want to shoot wide aperture, shallow depth of field, and you don't want to bother with ND filters. That could be pretty cool. But if it causes sensor bloom and other issues, then maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know how well it works. Again, I have it on my Fuji, and I've turned it on a couple times just to toy with it, but I haven't done any real testing with it to see what the utility really of it is. In that situation, I usually just put on an ND filter. But it would be cool if you could just do that in camera.
Yeah.
I would imagine you would increase your synchronization speed with your flash photography. Maybe not all the way to 1/24,000th of a second, but you're still going to probably be able to increase your sync speed beyond what the normal rating would be.
Yeah, good question. I haven't seen any sync speed numbers off this camera yet, so I'd be interested in that. That was one of the main reasons that kept me, other than the price, that kept me off Fuji's full frame or medium format announcement, is that really low flash sync speed of 1/125th of a second. And so that's pretty important. The flash sync speed is a big deal as far as I'm concerned. I use flash a lot. And so that's a big number for me.
I just looked it up. It's 1/80th of a second on this camera, so they don't say anything about using the electronic shutter yet.
Wait, 1/80th? You mean 1/180th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
1/80th of a second.
Not too bad. That's pretty good. I like seeing
Standard.
1/250th, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
Looks like an interesting camera for sure.